What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So as everybody knows, the Crew 2 Mad Volume 2 update did end up dropping on Wednesday. We also had the big update dropping on Motorfest, so it's obviously going to be an exciting time in the Crew franchise. But one thing I did not realize, though, is we are going to get ourselves 15 more returning vehicles in the Crew 2, which in return you're also going to be able to bring them over to Motorfest. But from what I have seen on the update, I do not know an exact date of when you can, but if it does follow the old ones, it's most likely going to be at a next season or later on in Season 3. So I guess in some way, though, at least you will be able to bring the vehicles over to Motorfest at a later date. Unfortunately, that said date is not going to be set at this moment. Now, what's insane, though, guys, 15 new vehicles, or I guess you could say 15 new vehicles in Motorfest because, they're kind of new to that game if you don't have them. In that case, though, these 15 vehicles are going to be coming out in the Crew 2 over the course of this season, or I guess you could say like the Mad Volume 2 update. The first 4 vehicles are going to be part of the March 6th update, which was on Wednesday. All of these guys, the first one is going to be the Proto Flashback. And at this point, though, I would say that the Proto Flashback to everyone, including myself, is probably going to be some type of Hot Wheels car. Haven't really driven this thing that much, but I will definitely be testing it out in Motorfest whenever that actually does, go in there. The next car, guys, I actually do not even have this one, funnily enough. That is going to be the Volkswagen Golf TDI Edition. I really do not know which season this was actually in, so do let me know in the comments below how old this car actually is, because, I don't have it. And then moving over to the next car on the list, I also do not have this one either, the Jaguar CX-75 Concept EXO Edition. I would say right off the bat, looking at the photo, it is a pretty cool looking car, but I unfortunately never actually got to drive that thing, so looking forward to eventually using that thing in Motorfest when it eventually gets in there. Moving over to the next one, though, is going to be the BMW M2 Beehive Edition. And I do admit, though, this car is actually going to be a pretty cool looking vehicle because the side panels on this thing are going to be carbon fiber, and it's going to have a pretty nice set of rims I would love to have on other vehicles in the game, which I would say that's probably going to be a bit far-fetched. Now, the 4 vehicles that are going to be part of the March 6th update on Wednesday, guys, is the Proto Flashback, the Volkswagen Golf TDI Dash Edition, the Jaguar CX-75 Concept EXO Edition, and finally, the BMW M2 Beehive Edition. And now moving over to the next 4 vehicles are all going to be available on March 20th. The first one here is going to be the Pagani Zonda F Primary Edition. I actually have this car as well. I do admit it's going to be a pretty cool looking Pagani, and I would admit right now, guys, we obviously don't have many of them. Apparently the new Pagani is going to be added into Motorfest, so I would recommend going after the Primary Edition because it is actually pretty dang cool looking, even though I would say it's just going to have a different like color combo type of thing on it. And then for the next car is going to be the Chevrolet Corvette C8R. One of my favorite racing vehicles currently in Motorfest is going to be this Corvette. So if you don't have this thing, I would definitely recommend going after it. And then for the next car you can actually get again is going to be the McLaren 720S Spider Blast Edition. Crazily enough, I would say it's probably one of the coolest looking McLarens in the entire game. Like, I really do like the way the kit on this thing looks, plus those rims look incredible. I would say a lot of players are most likely going to like this car. Now, the last one here, guys, is probably going to be one of the most requested vehicles to return ever, and that's going to be the Bugatti Chiron Supersport 300 Plus Divine Edition. Not even kidding, guys, I'm going to say this right now. It is definitely the best looking Chiron in the game. I really do love the look of this Bugatti so much, and on top of that, it's also going to be pretty dang good at handling, and of course, that top speed is insane. And now moving over to the next set of vehicles that you can get on April 10th, guys, is going to be a total of 3. The first one is going to be the Chevrolet Camaro SS Ghost Edition. I would say right off the bat, it's probably going to be one of the best looking Camaros. And not only that, though, it's also going to have a pretty interesting, unique interior, with one of the seats being red. And then moving over to the next car you can get is going to be the Ford Mustang Boss 429 Lime Edition. I have to say right off the bat, it's not going to be one of my favorite vehicles in the game, but overall I would say it's definitely going to be a unique one. I would say the body kit on this thing, and on top of that, guys, the overall handling isn't my favorite. And now moving over to the last car that's coming out on April 10th is going to be the lovely Nissan GTR Haru Edition. This thing I would say a lot of players are most likely going to love because for one, it is going to be a Nissan GTR, so what's obviously not to like there? And on top of that though, I also think it is going to have a Liberty Walk kit that's on it, even though it doesn't say it. At least we are most likely going to be able to tell. It is pretty dang close. And now finally, guys, moving over to the last four vehicles all coming out on May 15th. The first one here is going to be the Creator's Concept Spewmeister SM71, which I would say right off the bat is going to be a pretty interesting looking Alpha GP car. Now, not going to lie here, I don't really run this thing all that often. I'm basically finding myself using basically all of the Red Bull models. I may end up having to test out the SM71 a bit more. And then for the next car on the list here is going to be the Proto Concept Sparrow Competition. It is also going to be another Alpha GP car. I actually like the way this one looks, at least compared to the SM71, but then again I would say the looks of these Alpha GP vehicles is most likely going to come down to preference. And then moving over to the next car is going to be the Audi RS5 Coupe USST Official Edition. This thing is actually going to be a pretty cool looking Audi. I also have to admit I love the livery of this thing when it did come out back in the US Speed Tour update. I would say a lot of players are most likely going to like this one over the regular RS5. And now moving over to the final car coming out in the Mad Volume 2 update is the lovely Lotus Evora GTE Overcut Edition. I would say one of the best parts about this car is by far that green carbon fiber. And that right there does make the Overcut Edition that much more unique because how many cars actually have green carbon fiber? It is easily going to be an insanely low number. Overall, though, guys, that is going to do it for all 15 returning vehicles in the Volume 2 update. I really do think we are most likely going to see a lot more coming out, with the Crew 2 coming to an end with updates.